Hey, history buffs! Today I'm diving into one of the most infamous moments of World War II, the attack on Pearl Harbor. This tragic event became a pivotal turning point in the war and changed the course of history. It all started on a quiet Sunday morning, December 7th, 1941. At exactly 8 a.m., 171 Japanese bombers and dive bombers, escorted by 43 fighters, unleashed sheer chaos on the American Pacific Fleet stationed at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Just 40 minutes later, a second wave of 124 bombers and 36 fighters ensured maximum devastation. By the time the smoke cleared, the numbers were staggering. 2,403 Americans were either dead or missing, and another 1,178 were wounded, including 103 civilians. The Japanese attackers suffered minimal losses. Just 29 of their 384 aircraft. 7 of the 8 battleships anchored at Pearl Harbor were sunk or disabled, and 5 of the 6 airfields were left in ruins. The attack left 65 American aircraft destroyed on the ground. The Japanese used 3 types of aircraft in the assault: the Zero fighter, the Val dive bomber, and the Kate torpedo bomber. Each played a specific role in ensuring the attack's success. The Zero fighter, for instance, was faster than any Allied fighter at the time, boasting impressive firepower with its 20mm cannons and machine guns. Its primary mission: protect the bombers and strafe American airfields and ships. Now, let's talk about the immediate aftermath. The next day, President Franklin D. Roosevelt addressed Congress with those unforgettable words, a date which will live in infamy. The United States was outraged, and the nation, once divided, stood united in their call for action. Industrial disputes were set aside, and young men flocked to recruiting offices. Even Japanese nationals living in the US were rounded up and interned. Before the attack, only 15% of Americans favored entering the war, but Pearl Harbor changed everything. Isolationism was no longer an option. The attack didn't just target Pearl Harbor. It also struck American bases in the Philippines, Guam, Wake, and Midway Islands, further intensifying the war effort. This devastating event underscored the vulnerability of the United States and galvanized the nation into action. From that point on, America's industrial and military might were fully mobilized. Winston Churchill, the British Prime Minister, aptly reflected that the USA was like a gigantic boiler. Once the fire was lit, there was no limit to the power it could generate. How right he was. The mastermind behind this strategy was Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, who believed that striking first would give Japan the upper hand. But as history would show, this attack awakened a sleeping giant. The United States entered World War II with renewed vigor and ultimately altered the outcome of the war. So there you have it, the attack on Pearl Harbor, a day that changed the world forever. If you enjoyed this dive into history, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more fascinating stories from our past. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.